In 2022, I saw an interview with Elon Musk, and in it he said two things that had a profound impact on me. The first was that if you read 3 of the best books on any given subject, you'll be more knowledgeable than pretty much anyone else you meet on that subject. And the second was that he basically taught himself rocket science from reading books and speaking to people. So what I learned from this was it kind of brought someone like Elon Musk, that you think of as basically a genius, down to the level of a normal person who just has to read books and learn a skill just like everybody else. So the way I use this in my life, and a lesson you can take from it, is to adopt a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. So your fixed mindset might look at someone like Elon Musk and think he's one of the richest people in the world, he's a genius, he's able to have, even just having 4 companies, he's trying to get rockets to Mars, electric cars, robots, tunnels under LA. You know, it's the guy's got a lot going on, and you think, oh, he's a genius. But he wasn't born like that. And the story that he tells is he basically raised himself on books, and then his parents were kind of less of an influence. These are his words. So you can adopt a growth mindset. Skills are learnable. Anything you need to know, you can learn. So my 27-year-old brain kind of did a thought experiment with this, and I was thinking, oh, okay, I'm 27. There are things I don't know about the world. This is why I was looking at interviews of people like Elon Musk. He understands something about money and the way the world works that I don't. So I had that student's mindset. Then I was thinking, well, if I just read 3 books on every subject that applies to humans, say there's 500 subjects, and you read 3 of the best books on that, you'd be more knowledgeable than everybody. So you'd basically know everything. That's 1,500 books. So I thought, oh, well, I could do that. And then I remembered I'm not very good at reading, so that would be a struggle for me. So I continued to move forward with this thought experiment, and I was thinking, well, as a human, there are only a handful of things that matter. You know, I don't need to know rocket science unless I want to get people to Mars with rockets. So I don't need to know that. I won't read books on that. So I went through with this. It was coming to the end of 2022, and I was ready to kind of set a new plan in motion for 2023. So I thought about it. What are the main things that you need to know, that you need to be good at as a human to live a good life? I don't want to be a genius. That's what I realized. I don't need to know everything. I just need to know enough to have a good life. So you can ask yourself the same question, and you might come to a different answer, but this is what I've learned, and this is what the conclusion I've come to, and it will probably be of benefit to you. So as a human, I thought, what do I need to know about? Do I need to know about history? Do I need to know about science? And the conclusion I came to was there are 4 things: belief, health, wealth, and relationships. So you need a good mindset, and to have a view and a belief about the world. How do you think the world works? If you think the world is an evil place and it's run by just evil, that's not a very good mindset conducive to a happy, good life. So I was building out what I called the good life model. It was a model around these 4 things that I found. So belief, you need a good mindset. Health, you need a healthy body to have a good life. Wealth, you need enough money. Now, I think some people, I've had some comments like, oh, you only make videos for the money. I don't think you realize how drawn to poverty I am. Like, the idea of living in the woods with nothing really appeals to me. But, you know, I want a family and kids, and they ain't gonna want to live in the woods. You know, this takes money. So you need to know how to accumulate, multiply, and keep hold of wealth. And then relationships. Everything you do in life, you will do with somebody else, either as like a partnership or competition. It's always dealing with people, everything you do. So that's the conclusion I came to. So then I thought, right, if I read 3 books on each of these subjects, I'd be pretty good. You know, that would put me ahead. Then I thought, well, if I just read 25 books on each subject, because it's the whole of your life, you know, it's a broad thing, then surely I wouldn't need to know anything else. So 25 books on belief, 25 on health, wealth, and relationships. So that's 100 books in total. So then you have to choose the right books. You can read books that aren't really worth reading, and then it's a waste of your time. So that was my plan. I created the Good Life model, which is you need to know about these 4 things, and these are the books you need. So I chose my 100 books, and I moved into 2023, and I was reading the books. So that was the mission. So the reason it became 52 books in a year is because I realized you don't need to read 25 books on a given subject. Like, for example, for the health category, I read 2 books on breathing. I thought humans breathe, so it's probably something we should know about. I read The Oxygen Advantage and Breathe, I think it's called. You only need to read one of those. Do you know what I mean? They're both good books, but you only need to read one. So I realized quite quickly you don't need to read 25 subjects on money to understand money. And you will realize how little you know. It's like money. Money's crazy. It doesn't store value over time. Like, it doesn't even work. Money doesn't even work. But when you learn how it works, you will be able to earn more of it and protect yourself against things like inflation. So these are skills you need to know. You can bury your head in the sand in terms of money, but you need to know this. So that was just my experience. So I read 52 books in a year. I read a lot more than that, but these were ones that sometimes you read a book and you think, well, that didn't actually get me any closer to, or that didn't add any value. So you disregard those. So in the description, I'll include my books for life. They're my 100 books I chose. And that was kind of my thought with it, was if you could only read 100 books, what would they be? Because they've got to add value. They've got to be bringing you closer to, being good at living a good life. And I kind of saw it as my personal library. I'll have these 100 books, and they're the 100 books I would give to my children. So that was the thought process. And I made a video on this at the time, a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago, because I was putting this plan in motion. And this is kind of a full circle moment, because it absolutely works. Every area of my life has improved since then. My mindset, my health, my finances, and my relationships with other people. So this is a beneficial thing. It's worthwhile. And if you're doing all right, if you're living a good life, you don't need to do this. But if you see that there is areas of improvement or things you don't understand, it's like money. Why have I never got any money? There are reasons why. So a growth mindset is the belief that your abilities, intelligence, and talents can be developed through effort, good strategies, and help from others over time. So that's the mindset you want to adopt. So when I went on this reading mission, I found that a lot of other successful people also did this. Like Tony Robbins, very famous motivational speaker, he's read over 1,000 books, and he attributes that to, he's in good health, good finances, good relationships, all of these things. Now, I don't think you need to achieve the level of success that these people have. That doesn't even appeal to me. I like more of a simple life, but it's a good life. You're striving for a good life, and you need knowledge to achieve that. 52 books in a year, so that's one a week. So just to give you an example, belief. For the belief books, they would include things like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, the Bible, the Quran, the Dhammapada, the Upanishads, Tao Te Ching. So this is all of the religious texts from every religion in the world. So if you're going to choose a religion, you kind of want to know what else is out there, because you could pick the wrong one. That was my thinking. If I'm going to have a view of the world, I want to know everybody's view of the world, what the Taoists think, what the Hindus think. Then I can come to my own conclusion. Get all of the information and then decide. Now, you can overdo it. You can just keep reading forever and never make a decision. So I thought 25 books on belief, including religious texts, things like Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, belief system perspectives from other people. That's what I want. And I did that. And then you can make an informed decision. So I learned that you actually need less books than you think. You will come to quite a solid understanding of how things work with 52 books. So yeah, that was the point I was making. That's a book a week. That's like reading the Bible or the Quran in a week. So I went hard on this, and the way I was able to do this was 4 books that are a little bit less involved, like the book about breathing. You know, I can get my head around that. The Quran's a bit deeper, but a book about breathing I would listen to as an audio book while I was driving around delivering pizzas for Domino's. So you can, that on an 8-hour shift, that's an 8-hour audiobook done. Do you know what I mean? So for something simple like that, a breathing book says don't breathe through your mouth, breathe through your nose, breathe light to breathe right. They're basic concepts, I can get my head around it. Something deeper where you're going to want to take notes, you have to set the time aside. And I actually took time off work, lived off of savings, and I treated this like a full-time job. When I do something, I do it fully. So for simple reads, use an audiobook. You have to choose the right book. You can waste your time with this. And the way I actually was able to assimilate knowledge, because I didn't see myself as a very strong reader, and you might be the same, but this also kind of lends itself to the growth mindset. The more I read, I'm actually really good at reading now. It's obvious, you know, practice makes perfect. So that I had a fixed mindset with reading. But after reading 52 books in a year, you get pretty good at it. So the system I came to, and I've never really heard anyone suggest this, is I'll have the physical book in front of me. I'll also have my headphones on with it as an audio book. So you do have to buy each book twice. Sometimes you don't have to do this if it's not that deep. I'll listen to it, read it, and I'll have a notepad next to it and I'll take notes. And I actually wrote a book while I was reading all these books. I've got it here. I only got halfway through it, but Life Rules, 96 simple principles for living a good life. So that was me, because I came to the conclusion that every book, although it's that thick, it only has 1 or 2 main points. So I was thinking, if I read 100 books, I'll extract the main points out of it, and then it's like a reference book that I can go back to. Let me just pick one at random. So this is the belief section, number 4, choose your thoughts carefully. And then I kind of explain what book. Oh, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. That's where that comes from. So it's just an interesting little project. I'll probably finish that off at some point. So, audiobook, physical book, write the notes. And then you will understand that for something simple, you don't need to do that. Just listen to it as an audiobook. Then this is a point I've also never heard anyone talk about, is digestion. You digest information in a physical way. This is a conclusion I've come to. It's like when you're digesting food. You have to give it time to digest. And if you're eating food as well as reading, you're going to struggle to, and work and every other commitment you've got. So I'm pretty sure I actually gave myself digestive issues because I was almost addicted to just consuming knowledge. Because I had this mission in mind, I just consumed so much knowledge and didn't give it time to rest. And if you don't sleep properly, it's a struggle. So you might notice that the more you read, the more you have to spend time just resting and digesting the information and the food you're eating at the time. And I actually left the Bible till last. I didn't do this intentionally. I guess they say leave the best till last, but I just was drawn to read other things, because you want to read what you're interested in. So at the time there were some people popping up talking about Islam, so I would read the Quran. Then I'd get interested in, you know, Taoism. And the Bible just, I struggled to read it. It was really hard. And the Old Testament is very hard by nature because there is a lot of like repetitive lists of names and things. That's when I would implement the having the book in front of you, audiobook, and taking notes. And then when you get to a section that's a bit boring because it's just a list of names, let the audiobook run and then come back to it when it's a bit more of a story. So I'm pretty sure the Bible will be the last book I read. These 52 books have given me an understanding on the world, and the Bible just includes everything. It's the only book you need, but from what I've learned through reading the books, you can only understand what you already know. So when you read one of these books, it will point to something you've already experienced. So whether it's a health book that's talking about diet, it talks about carbs, you know, making you gain weight, then you'd look back at your own life and think, oh yeah, that was the case, if I eliminate carbs, anyway, I'm going off the point. So I've got a Bible verse that illustrates this beautifully, and this is where I'm at in the Bible. I read this yesterday, so the reason I haven't been making videos as much is because I'm spending all my time doing this, reading the Bible. So this is the first book of Kings, chapter 3, verses 5 to 13. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask what I shall give you." And Solomon said, "You have shown great steadfast love in your servant David my father, because he walked before you in faithfulness, in righteousness and in uprightness of heart towards you. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit on his throne to this day. And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of David my father, although I am but a little child. I do not know how to go out or come in." So King Solomon saying, "You've put me in charge, you've given me all this responsibility, but I don't know how to deal with it." And that was like me at 27. It's like, right, I'm making my way in the world, but I don't really understand how money works. I'm not very good with relationships. My health isn't great and my mindset's poor. So I need knowledge. I need to understand how to deal with these things. I do not know how to go out or come in. So it's having like competence. And your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people, too many to be numbered and counted for multitude. Give your servant therefore an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil, for who is able to govern this, your great people? So King Solomon has asked for wisdom. He doesn't want money, because you could quite easily ask for money or, a beautiful wife. He's asked for wisdom. It pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked for this, and God said to him, "Because you have asked this, and have not asked for yourself a long life, or riches, or the life of your enemies, but have asked for understanding to discern what is right, behold, I now do according to the word. Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before, and none like you shall arise after you. I give you also what you have not asked for, both riches and honour, so that no other king shall compare with you all your days." So in asking for wisdom, God said, well, you can have riches and power and status because you now have the wisdom to deal with it. And it's like in our lives, you might win the lottery, and a lot of people that win the lottery blow it and their life becomes worse because they don't know how to handle it. They haven't got the wisdom. So in doing this, 52 books in a year, books for life, whatever you want to call it, you're setting yourself up, because you might make a load of money just randomly, but you will probably lose it. If it came into your hands quickly, it usually leaves quickly, and this is why. So my kind of takeaway was having a growth mindset and front loading knowledge. If you've got a period where you can take a bit of time off work, or because this takes time and energy, and you front load knowledge, you don't really have to learn anything else for the rest of your life. There are certain skills, we're always learning, but if you front load this, you understand how money works, relationships, health. Once you know it, once you're wise like King Solomon, then when the money comes, you know what to do with it. Then when your wife comes, you know how to maintain a relationship, because I see a lot of rich people that aren't very good with relationships. You see the actors going off the rails mentally. So you can have one area, but you want to be rounded. So I'd recommend reading. It's a great habit. Hope that helps. Speak to you soon.